I need that mentor. And if I were to do things different, I would get one sooner rather than later. The more you put that off, it takes longer. The sooner you start finding mentors and you start paying for mentors too, that's where things just propel. And it's like a speedboat as opposed to a rowboat. It just gets you there quicker. Hey, it's Mike Meiers from the Songwriting for Guitar podcast. Before we jump into this episode, if you're a songwriter, guitarist, and you're looking to advance your skills, gain confidence, and monetize your craft, be sure to check out songwritingforguitar.com for all our free resources. So let's jump into this week's episode. Hey, what's up, friends? Mike Meiers here with the Songwriting for Guitar podcast, episode 118, If I Had to Start Again. So this episode, we're going to talk about what if I had to start again? What if I had like no contacts? I had no songs. I had no skill. What would I do differently? How would I start and build a career? Especially today, 2025. What would I do differently? And how would I grow this as fast as possible? I think it's an interesting concept purely because a lot of you who are listening right now are starting from the beginning, or you're kind of in the messy middle of your journey and you're wondering, how do I navigate this? What can I do faster? And so I want to think about, what would I do? How would I build this all over again? And so as I think about this, I realize when you make a decision like this to go from someone that dabbles to like, I want to build a career. I want this to be my primary thing. I want to make money from this. So we have such lofty expectations. We have to acknowledge that they probably won't happen right away. And what I mean right away, I have to be okay with 3 or 4 years of not seeing anything. Like you can have growth, you can have development, but those big things that I want, they may not just like show up right away and land in my lap. Because anything that is an amazing, lofty goal, and if you basically have no structure, no development, and you're starting from scratch, you can't get that right away. So I have to acknowledge that it is going to be daunting. It's going to be tough. I have to have thick skin because people are going to give me feedback, whether it, hey, you need to work on XYZ, where they give me a very specific roadmap, or they may be like, no, rejected. So it might be an email. It might be face-to-face that they say that. I have to have tough skin and be like, it's okay. And I've got to find something good about it. So if somebody says, hey, this course feels flat, I could look at it as, I'm really upset because I worked so hard on that course. I poured my heart and soul. Or I could be like, hey, you know what? They're right. I knew it because it was taking way too long. And even now, I still kind of cringe and I wish they would skip out. I get it. And you know what? I need to acknowledge that when I'm writing, and I have to address that. And now I can do XYZ. So I have to have thick skin, and I have to be able to find at least some good things when people give me critiques. Because one thing I know when I started getting it from the beginning, or when I give it, I can tell when someone's like, so if I can just go into it with just, yep, I'm okay with it, I acknowledge it, that's fine. That will serve me better in the long term. And it honestly chips away any ego that I have. So I've got to that's going to be the thing that probably trips me up the most is ego. So the more I can lessen that, dismantle it, build that tough skin early on. So that first part of just like a clear mindset that I'm just resetting into this new journey is going to be a big thing. So when I get into that first part, the second part is like, okay, building ultimately the skill. Now, if I'm starting again, I've probably written some songs, but not seriously. And I could probably tell you that it was in a band setting, or I wrote with so-and-so and nothing really happened. So it was all these scenarios where either I got a great song, but I wasn't sure how we got there, or I wrote and nothing happened. Nothing materialized from there. So at the heart of it, I have to build my songwriting skill. And I might not know necessarily what my strength is. Now, for me, if I was starting again, I'd maybe have an inkling that maybe it's guitar, maybe it's a little bit of melody, lyrics, I don't know. So my first thing would be like, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to write country pop songs for other people? That's a realm. Do I want to write for TV and film? If it's TV and film, if I were to do it today, the first thing I would do is I'd go on Amazon and look for the top 3 books on writing for TV and film. I wouldn't do all of them. I'd look for the top 3, and then I would choose the top 2 that have the most reviews. I would also Google the person's name to see if they're still in practice of the thing. Because if I Google their name and it's like advice from like 1990 or 1980 or even 2000, it's going to be pretty much irrelevant. Because think of how much is changing now. So if I'm going after advice from someone that happened 20 years ago, it's probably not going to be the best advice right now. Maybe it's kind of cool, but I'm looking for someone where they're relatively still doing the thing. Any mentor, any person I'm going to have, they need to be actively doing the thing. I don't want someone that talks about it and the moment I search for them on Google, nothing comes up. I want lots of things coming up. So that's kind of the filter that I need. So I'd get those 2 books, I'd read them over and over, I'd highlight the best bits, and I'd put anything into practice that they're telling me. So if that book tells me, go here and start researching, that's what I'm doing. Because I need to find where can I take some of my existing inkling skill, things that I think I might be good at, and how can I hone it and start doing that? So if that book suggests I go to TuneFind and start researching and listening, I'm building playlists and I am analyzing it like crazy. I'm also going to that person and following them on Instagram. I'm looking at who they follow. I'm looking at, do they have a course? Do they have a newsletter? Are they putting out content consistently that I can consume so I can just start no matter what, whether I'm going to work? Because I'm assuming right now I've got a job and maybe my job is the normal 8 to 5, or maybe it's 9 to 3, who knows what. But I'm consuming that content when I wake up, when I'm on the drive, when I'm on the way back in the evening. So my day is not just consuming random things, but I am strategically listening to things during the bits of free time that I have. And I'm probably even watching stuff on my lunch break during moments in between when I'm working. Because honestly, if I were to backtrack to when I started doing this, that was one thing that changed vastly. I was consuming all the time and I would still keep that. But that's the filter of who I would be consuming. I consumed a lot early on, and I think I would be even more strategic this time around. One thing that's a lot more common than it was before when I started was now we have so many courses that you can take. So the more I identify my skill set, so if I'm more keen on melody, what kind of melodies? Well, I'm going for more modern melodies, and I'm going for something for licensing. I'm looking for someone that can address one or both. And so that may mean I have a course that I'm taking on understanding how sync licensing works. And I have mentorship with someone that I'm getting consistent feedback. Because while I'm consuming that course, I assume I'm probably applying and writing those songs. So I'm almost starting to assemble a team. The first team are the guides, the gurus, the people that can really help me get to a level that propels me faster because they're aware of things that I shouldn't be doing and should be doing. Because if I'm just doing that myself, piecing it from YouTube or just the free content that's out there, it's great, but it's not in a particular order, and I have to put it together and assemble a system. People think courses and coaching, they go, why do I need that? Well, you need that because they give you a very specific system and a very clear set of parameters on what to do, the order to do it, and what you should do after. That's what you're paying for. When someone gets me for coaching, it's because not only am I giving them feedback, but I'm telling them exactly why this may not work or why it is working and do more or do less. You really don't get that with YouTube. You just get people giving you bits and pieces. So the next thing on building my skills for songwriting is a clear course that's set that addresses the things I need, but I've got someone that's giving me very specific feedback. I need that mentor. And if I were to do things different, I would get one sooner rather than later. The more you put that off, it takes longer. The sooner you start finding mentors and you start paying for mentors too, that's where things just propel. And it's like a speedboat as opposed to a rowboat. It just gets you there quicker. Okay. I would also start looking for people to write with because I would probably acknowledge I'm not going to be singing the songs. So I would look for people that had the voices that fit. So I would start within the community of courses that I was taking, because if they're there and I'm there, we're on kind of the same trajectory. We're on the same goal. I would probably not go for the thing I want to watch is, are they a hobbyist? And are they clear on their goals? Because if I'm getting clear and they're not, it doesn't matter if they're good at XYZ. It's you're not going to get a product that satisfies the need. So I really need to make sure that they are clear, that they're also a good student. Like, I can listen to some of the things that they've put out, whether it be social media, within the class. I have to have some filter just to kind of tell. You can always do a test write, but when you go to write 2, write 3, write 4, you want to make sure it starts to become a good pairing, that you have a good match. So I'd be really looking for writing. I did that early on when I took a course. I would probably do that even sooner. I would get more specific on what I was looking for. I was willing to write with anyone and everyone, which sometimes can go well, but then can sometimes may not be a best use of my time. Because again, if I'm working a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 6, whatever it is, whatever the time frame is, I need to be very aware and protective of my time, that who I pair with is someone who is equally as serious as me and has something to contribute that may not be my strongest area, so that when we get together, we're like, whew, we're complimenting each other, and that we're getting feedback on those songs. So I'm taking those songs to the mentor, and we're sitting there and we're looking and we're kind of dissecting, is this right? How can I make this go smoother? Because as I'm going through this process, whether it's the first 3, 6 year, I need to be constantly tweaking the system. I need to be taking the frameworks that I'm building and adjusting. Is this serving me? If it's not, what do I need to do? And what are the small changes? Sometimes we don't have to toss, as they would say, the kitchen sink out the window, but we just need to make small little tweaks. Sometimes we do have to make a huge pivot, but throughout that mentorship, hopefully I'm seeing them go like, cool, you know what? Your choruses are getting more consistent. It feels like a chorus. You know what? I asked you to write, XYZ, and guess what? You did it. It wasn't like on the nose, but it was exactly the feel that I wanted. That's the stuff that I'm looking for. I would embrace recording myself earlier. I was a dabbler of recording, but I focused much more on just getting other people to do it, which then caused a lot of songs to be maybe not properly produced, or I always felt like it was just not what we wanted. So maybe around after a couple of months of just consistent writing, I would take some of the best ones that I've been writing and doing small demos myself, and just forcing myself to go into that process. The one thing I would then focus on is getting good at demoing, great at demoing my acoustic and my electric. So that means at that point, I need to start being honest of what songs are worth pursuing and which ones are just like, they're okay. And the way you do that is a quick demo. Because if we're going to spend money on this, is it going to be worth doing everything somewhere? Or should I look at starting to invest in home recording equipment myself? I would probably err on that side, because if I'm doing licensing, it's going to be a much more repeatable process, as opposed to paying thousands of dollars on something that hopefully is really good and hopefully has traction and hopefully lands multiple times. So the first thing is home recording, and then becoming aware of, just like I did with songwriting, what's 1 or 2 books that I could get that are top rated, start reading them. Can I start taking very basic, courses when it comes to, again, it's going to be courses I'm going to look for. Now, the big thing I want to stress is, if it's courses, I need to make sure that I'm completing the courses. I always did, and I thought everybody did, until I started diving in more and more with people and talking to them and seeing like, oh, they're not. So I really want to make sure any course I'm taking that I'm completing, and that all the material I've printed out, that I'm keeping track, that I'm meticulously making sure that I not only understand what they're telling me to do, but I've practiced it a few times, especially when it comes to recording. That's going to be a big thing. as we're doing this, I'm looking at the structures of my days. Because again, I'm probably working and I'm immediately, probably at this point, looking at, is there anyone in my area that is doing the thing that I want to do well? So for TV and film, is there a small studio in which there's production overdubs for commercials? They're doing commercial music and working with small local marketing agencies. When I say that, people usually go like, I never thought of that. Yeah, there's bound to be something within my city. There's bound to be some marketing agencies within my city that I could like start seeing or asking what studios or what producers do you work with locally that I can just get in touch with, that I could ask like, hey, could I get you a coffee? Could we go out to lunch? I would love to, can I shadow you at your studio? This is where I'm starting to now treat it like an apprenticeship a little bit. And like, can I find people that would be willing to let me shadow what they're doing, where I can visibly watch them do the craft, watch how they build a track, watch how they write a song, watch how they are doing the thing that I've been reading about and studying and trying to do myself. But now I can just sit there and as an observer and watch them do the thing. That to me would be, I should have done that much sooner than I did. And when I started doing that, that was immensely helpful because I found so many kind people that were willing to say yes, because most people are not getting asked that. So that's what I'm looking for. And I'm thinking in terms of that I still don't live in a music city. I don't live in Nashville. I don't live in LA. I don't live in Austin. I don't live in New York. I don't live in Chicago. I live in a small city, big small city, if you will, in which there's bound to be some songwriting circles. There might be a songwriting scene. But again, I have to be very selective and watch my verbiage and how I word what I'm looking for so that I get as close to as possible the thing that I want. Now, I would say too, what I just mentioned there, like asking, hey, could I take you as a coffee? Could I, get you a coffee? Can I take you to lunch? I need to start building my network. I see too many building their songs. And again, they're kind of that waiting around, but networking is going to be huge. So not only finding like-minded people that we're connecting with in the co-writes, eventually any courses that I take, I look to see if they're doing mentorship as well, on top of the people that I'm reaching out to shadow and spend time with. I need to start building that, because not only do I want to, I'm not asking them to do things for me. I'm not asking them to do XYZ. I just want them to know that I'm serious about this. I want them to visibly see that I just want to build as much skill as possible. I want to do this well. I don't want to half-ass this. And I'm serious about this. So what can I do? That to me is the important thing in networking, is to show that, listen, you may have come across people that are trying to do a shakedown. I'm not interested in the shakedown. I purely want to do this well. And when you think of my name, I don't want you to think of someone that's after something. I just want you to think of someone like they're hungry for it. They really want to do it. I love it. They're always, engaging and asking, is there any way that I can help you? Is there any way that I can be more involved? I would love to XYZ, that type of stuff. Man, I'm always surprised how many people don't do that. So I would probably corner the market as much as possible that I could, to just connect and let them know how serious I am. How can I help? If they're running a course, is there anything I can do? Can I help in the community? If they're doing mentorship and they have an event coming up, I'm like, hey, I would love to, not only attend, but can I help the event? Can I get there a day early and help you set up? Is there anything that you need? Is there anything that I can do for you? That to me that's where I would go. And 10% I would go in that area, because that's what builds a network. Because a lot of the times the people that I've been connected to, I've helped someone and then someone remembered me and someone mentioned my name and that person reached out to me. Hey, so-and-so taught. So immediately when I'm starting from square one, I want to build my community. I want to build a network of people that know that I'm serious about it, that I'm passionate about it, and that I'm in it for the long haul. And I'm not in it just for a quick win and a shakedown. And again, I would probably up the mentorship. People always ask, when does mentorship stop? And I know it doesn't stop because I still get mentorship. So it's never, again, I would be constantly looking to evolve and constantly getting that feedback on what my week is looking like, and dividing what sections are going to be networking, when I should be reaching out, when I should be writing. Probably in the first year, I'd schedule at least 3 to 4 writes a week. I would still keep that. I did that early on, and I still think that's by far the most helpful thing. It was just the filter piece that I would add on just a little bit more. But the more you co-write and you get those wheels turning, the better, the better, the better, the better, the better. Because sometimes you have to write 100 songs just to get into the swing of things. So structuring, organizing my week, and getting feedback with the mentor on how that flows, what need to be networking, what should be course consumption, where should I be writing, and just that I have a very detailed Google sheet. I would embrace my schedule organization much better than I did. Yeah, that's what I would do right now, because I thought I was good with it, but I also saw that there was some clear time that I could utilize even more. And so that means I'm probably even lessening to, at this point, my expenses on unnecessary things. Subscriptions, like I might not have like a Netflix and Amazon Prime. I'd probably pick one of those. I'd probably stay with Amazon Prime. Instead, look at things like Netflix trailers on YouTube. I would watch kind of those things and things that are working on TV and film through there, or things like TuneFind, because I want to lessen as much expense as possible so I can funnel back into mentorship, courses. At this point, maybe I'm thinking about visiting a music city again, just for networking, not writing at first, but just building that network. I would still keep that. I did a whole bunch of trips to LA. I did a whole bunch of trips to Nashville in which I didn't write a single thing. I was just meeting people. I was talking to people. I was setting up lunches. The amount of lunches and coffees I got were, sometimes in a day I'd have a couple lunches, couple coffees that would just, I would keep that piece because that was so valuable. And again, when you go back to what we talked about at the very front end of being kind and not being egotistical, not being a jerk, but just looking to build true connection, though that's where these type of things go really well when you're networking and you're starting to meet with people, because those people are happy to talk to you. They're happy to share their time. They're happy to meet with you. So that's the big thing that I would be looking for. Probably at the end of my first year, I would look for 3 or 4 strong songs. And at this point, I would either pivot and approach a producer that I liked that was in the class, or someone that I was connecting with somehow. Can we do some sort of split, some sort of share? Because if I'm doing all this work and I'm showing and I'm taking this seriously, and they're starting to see like, he did go to this place. He's been building this reputation. He's been helping here. He's bringing something to the table that I don't have. Is there a way that we can exchange services or share percentages so that, again, the amount of money that I'm spending goes into the equipment, the courses, the mentorship that I'm doing. So I'm really building that up. So by the end of that first year, maybe I have 2 or 3 songs that maybe we test. And I tell this person, like, if we can exchange, I'm going to be pitching, I'm going to be doing all those things, so that at the end, I'm now getting my foot in the door in terms of the business side of it, because I've now put a flow and a schedule into the mentorship. And if I'm getting the feedback that this is working well and you're improving, this is totally worth pursuing these songs, then I will. If I'm getting the feedback, you need to just work a little bit more, I might not have those songs produced yet. I may up the amount that I'm writing, or be even more selective on the people that I'm writing with to really, or refine my skill even more and think about how can I up what I'm contributing? Am I possibly the weak link that just, I need to tighten this up even more? So I might have 2 or 3 songs produced and exchange the rights with the producer, see if I can. If I got feedback that these songs are worth pursuing. If I get the feedback that it's not, then I respect that. I realize tough skin. Let's go into year 2 strong. Let's keep on going. So those are things that I think I would look for if I was starting all over again. The one thing that I would absolutely change is I would enjoy the process a little bit more. It's not that I didn't enjoy the process. There are moments where I think I let criticism or I let people's comments get to me. And, sometimes you get the comment like, oh, it's okay. It's not that good. Or you get that comment, do you really think it's going to work? Do you really think? And you go like, yeah, it will. And then you start to go, I don't know, will it work? And you start thinking and thinking. So I would enjoy it more and just go, listen, you're not an idiot. You went into this knowing it was going to be tough as shit. You realize that you're going to get feedback that isn't good. You realize you're going to be up against people that think you can't do it. You realize that, of course, anything that is that high, that you have that lofty of goal, it's not going to happen overnight. You knew that. Enjoy it. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the cities you're going to. Enjoy the people that you're meeting. I had moments where I did enjoy, and then I had moments that I would just get really concerned and worried. And that's being human. But you also have to accept that this is just how it is, and that this is part of the process. And the people that are doing it, just like, before you, had to go up against some of the same things. And you can even talk to your mentors about this. Did you receive, because they'll be willing to talk about this. Anytime that I have a client that goes, like, this is tough right now, I'm just really struggling, right? I go, guess what? Let's talk about this, because I did too. And we share. And then I can see that look of like, oh, I'm glad I shared this. Yes, I'm glad you shared this too, because it's not easy. So I would enjoy the process more. I would just immerse myself in it and enjoy it. Because what happens is every time you come up against an obstacle, you figure out a way to solve it. So that every time that you even get an obstacle that might be a little bit bigger, you don't freak out. You go like, I did this before. Before I figured it out, I can fucking figure it out again. It's not going to be hard. It may take some time. It may take some new resources. It may have to sink some money, but I figured out things before. I can be resourceful and figure it out again. When you're building a team too, and you've got people on your side and you're building your network, you also have other people that help you tackle that problem. So at first, you may be doing this problem and figuring it out on your own, but for future problems, you start to build a team that help you out. Don't necessarily worry about validation on social media or those platforms. I wish I showed more of the process in the beginning that was messy, because I was really stressed about trying to make things look perfect. So I would be okay sharing with things early on that were messy, because again, that builds up your skin. And there's a vulnerability that I think is very endearing, as opposed to me trying to get everything right. And I would pick a platform. I really wouldn't worry about chasing things. Like, I think when I started, what was popular? I think Vine was popular. I know Vine was a thing that everyone did, and Snapchat was more popular. I guess Snapchat's still a thing, but I would focus more on, especially being a songwriter, making sure that the platform that I'm doing is tailored and showing not only the things that I enjoy, but the craft of what I do. So I have something to point to, so that when I meet people, I can say like, hey, here's my website. Ooh, that's the other thing. There we go. That's a good one. That's what I love about doing this, because I'm getting all these. I would have a website sooner rather than later. When I ask people that they're serious about this and they just send me a SoundCloud link, I'm like, everybody has a SoundCloud link. You can have a Reverb page. What's your website? Getyourname.com is just not freaking hard, because serious businesses you go to their website. So have a way that people can see who you are, what you do, and have a little QR code on your phone. So when you're out and about going to an open mic, writer's round, that you can share that with people. So that's always a big thing. Starting from scratch to me is it's freedom. It's very liberating. So regardless if you're listening to this and it feels like it's a disadvantage, realize that every single person, as I said, started from scratch. People that are doing the things that you want to do had to start by just acknowledging that they want to do this, and that they don't have the resources right away, that they don't have the skill sets, and that they are okay with it, and that over time it will develop, that over time it will form, over time it will happen. There's just this acceptance, and then there's a whole lot of fucking work that happens. And that's any profession. That's no matter what. Even the job that's 9 to 5 requires, hey, there are ups and downs. I remember when I was making this transition too of working, and I was like, I was about to go do this full-time, the music thing full-time for me, and leave my job teaching. I was so scared. was so worried. I was so worried that I was going to fail and that everyone would laugh and that I'd have to grovel back and they wouldn't harm me. I just went through all these doomsday scenarios. And then I realized, shit, wait a minute. I'm a contractor. I don't have all of these things. I don't have health insurance. I'm at the mercy of an ever-evolving teaching schedule. Sometimes I have people, sometimes I don't. Sometimes the list grows, sometimes it doesn't. They leave, they go on vacation. So I'm already on a roller coaster. I might as well do the roller coaster that benefits me. I would be, I guess, yeah, a little bit. I felt like I'd be stupid not to do this. I would regret it. If I was on my deathbed and I didn't do this and you asked me, what do you regret? I'd say not pursuing songwriting, not building a career in music because I knew I had the capability, but I just chickened out because I just stuck with what's safe. Guess what? Everybody has those moments that are doing the thing. They had to just decide and make those changes. So regardless if you're making the first step, you're on the second step, regardless of where you are, this episode was just to walk you through some things that I would do differently, that I would do if I had to start from scratch. So regardless of where you are, I would love to know, especially in this, where are you going to take the next step in your career? What is the thing that you need to do? What's one thing you could do this week that would help you advance towards what you want? And if you feel like you've got more questions, this is where I would encourage you right now to get a mentor. And at Songwriting for Guitar, that's why we have mentors. That's why there's a coaching application link in all these platforms. So if you're listening on Apple Music, you can scroll down the description, hit the button, you can apply. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can scroll down on the description, click it, and then apply, because that's why we do coaching. You need a mentor. You cannot do this alone. You are fooling yourself if you think you can, because I know from experience, and if I were to start again, the first thing that I would invest in heavily is mentoring. Mentoring and coaching is beautiful because you have a mirror, someone to show you what to do, where to go, and how to make those adjustments and those changes. So, my friends, thank you for listening to this episode. I hope it was beneficial. I'm Mike Meiers. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Hey, it's Mike from Songwriting for Guitar. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And hey, don't leave. We got other cool videos you should check out too. Like some of these right here. Oh, that one right there. That's really good. You should click that. Right there. Just click it.